Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tribe of Visionaries. I'm your host, Jason Merritt. I'm here with my co-host, Tim T. DeGroot, and we have some special guests joining us today. We have Anna Benner out of Florida. She is an MTR specialist, as well as Hayya Lee McDonald. She's also very good at MTR, and that's what her specialty is. And then we have our buddy Lawrence McKay. Lawrence is originally from DC area and is now transitioned to Florence, South Carolina. Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Friday.
Hey,
Happy
happy
Friday.
Friday.
Hey,
Yeah,
Lovely.
what a cool
So
introduction.
we're up.
I know, right? I love the
Cool.
travel music.
Thank you. Uh, so I guess today we just kind of want to get to know each other a little bit more. If you can kind of tell us, a little bit, Anna and Haya, what you guys do as far as MTRs are, and kind of what your version of MTR is, and what you specialize within MTR, because I know there's different segments of MTR, or I guess. What would you say, customers that you type customer
Niches.
base that you would have
hmm
for MTR?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
whoever
So
wants to start.
I'll go ahead.
Good.
So my name is Haya, and I work in this business with my husband. Lawrence knows this. We're just my husband and I are joined at the hip, and we do this business together. So we'll do one side of our business is hospitality, and this is where we do the short-term rentals, midterm rentals. We are now transitioning to focus solely on the midterm rentals at this time. So we have served travel nurses, people relocating back to the country or relocating to the area. We've served people who work with the foreign service. Actually, one of our guests coming in, I think, was coming back to the United States, served in the embassies. We're also working more with the insurance sector now, so we've got other guests from that area as well. But we do get a lot of people who are relocating from other places and need a place to stay while they're looking for a permanent home. So we serve all of those people. During the pandemic, the travel nurses really came through. And so that's really where we got to do that. We're definitely looking to do more federal contracting and working with corporate clients because we have served them as well. So that's where we are in MTRs.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thanks. And how about you, Anna?
That was cool. I started back in 2019. I turned a single family home into a midterm rental. And what I've sort of focused on is putting a whole bunch of client avatars into one. I think I've kind of cracked the code on that sort of thing. So I look for high net worth areas that are of in incredible school districts that people are constantly flocking to. They may have higher taxes in terms of purchasing, but people are constantly coming to them. So we're focusing on midterm rentals and really specifically focusing on those top school districts of the United States. And we do, insurance, housing, a lot of relocation, like Haya said, that's a big thing now. And we also do not only medical professionals, but a lot of people going to specific areas for medical treatment, relocation, like we talked about, and corporate travelers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you guys typically determining these locations, as far as, are they within a certain vicinity of hospitals, or you know what's your criteria when you're looking for different properties or areas to kind of focus on?
Yeah, so I mean, it. You can get really excited and see, oh, there's a property here. I want to get it because it's really nice. But you have to be really strategic about it. And from the very start, even when we were doing short-term rentals, what we would do is look for places that were close to professional centers. So we always look at markets where there's more than one sector that the economy is based on. You don't want to be in just one place where it's all dependent on manufacturing, for example, because if that tanks, then what have you got? So we look for places where there's a diversity in industries, and then also we want the places that we specifically get to be close to main highways and transportation ports. If you're in a city with metro systems, you want it to be walking distance of that. You want it to be near places where the guests that we're serving want to be going or need to be going. And so it's really thinking and putting yourself in the shoes of that person and saying, okay, what would make this ideal for them, and then putting it there.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Haya. I tell a lot of people when they talk about midterm rental, you have to be very strategic. You can't just pick a pretty house, like she said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not only, when I first started there, everyone said highways, hospitals, airports, hotels, things like that. But that's not enough, even in a health. I also look at Starbucks because I did all that research because it's a very important area. And then, like Hayya said, centers of a lot of hubbub, so corporate centers, like she said. And then also, like I said, I also do school districts, higher net worth areas, top school districts of the country, because that's where people are going to flock. So it's very important to look at everything because, especially if you're doing insurance housing, these people come with a bag of clothes, and it needs to be partially lived in, so that they can come in and actually enjoy being there while they're being displaced.
So all your houses are pretty much fully furnished, or properties are fully furnished, move-in ready whenever somebody is looking to book into these?
Yes. Absolutely. And this may not be everybody's strategy, but even from the beginning, when we were, even for short-term rentals, I walked through our own house and my own kitchen, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to go stay somewhere, because we built this for us, really, we're a business, we travel, we're like the people we built this for. And so I'm like, well, if I'm traveling, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. And so our units have always been crafted to have someone stay there if they're staying 3 days or if they're staying 3 months. It's supposed to be a complete experience because, we've all had the experience of going to stay somewhere and you're like, shoot, they don't have this, or it's dirty, or, well, I didn't bring this and now I've got to go run somewhere and I just got in at 10 o'clock at night. Like, we try to think about all of the things that would instantly make someone comfortable, and I walked through our house to figure that out.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And especially what we've done is we live there for 2 or 3 weeks before we actually put it up on the market, so that we don't miss something. Because one of the midterm rental arbitrages that I was working on, we stayed there and I was like, okay, where's my towel? Because there's no towel rack. There's nothing to put the towel up on. So I'm walking out yelling at my husband, can you grab me a towel? There's nowhere to put it. So it's very important to pay attention to that. And the thing that I've learned over doing this for the last year or so is I used to just buy the basic sort of kitchen equipment, but for myself, I like the high end, non plastic silicone. I like wood cutting boards, things like that. And so over the years, I'm like, well, if I want it, like Hayya said, I need to put this in this house for people to use. And it's more expensive, but it's higher quality, it lasts longer, and it's better hospitality.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed, I'm trying to transition from short-term rentals, especially because we're seasonal here in Myrtle Beach, trying to transition from short-term rentals into MTRs. Kind of, I'm a rookie at it, but, you guys kind of helped guide me some when we spoke a couple of times. And I don't know if I'm pricing it wrong or what, but I kind of got the impression that you could almost double whatever the monthly rent is. But when I look in like Furnish Finder for other, say, like for like properties, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath or whatever in the area, the rents say $2,400 a month is what's coming up, which is the average rent for the area. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll try to double this, and I pop it on Furnish Finder for like $5,400 or whatever, or Zillow, and I haven't really been getting any hits. So is there something that you could advise, or is it the property? Is it the area? It's located near a hospital. It's like half a mile from a hospital. So I guess some feedback regarding something like that, or, is there something that I need to dig in further with my market research as far as, I guess, the pricing?
I think it really goes back to who you want to serve, who's that primary audience that you're working with, because the strategy that you use for nurses is going to be different from insurance versus a corporate client versus, somebody who's relocating. The other thing is too, it's to be aware of each platform that you're putting your properties on. What is the purpose of that platform? Because, for example, we are on Furnished Finders. We know the travel nurses are not going to look at ours because it's too expensive. But it's an awareness tool that we're using for the audience we're trying to attract, to say, hey, this is available, and they may reach out to us, like outside of FF, and their budget might be completely different. But it's a what is the word I just used? it's an awareness tool, for us, for the audience we're trying to serve. And same thing with Airbnb, like insurance, the relocation specialists aren't necessarily going to be looking there, but the person who has been displaced is going to look there first and then probably say to the relocation person, hey, I found this place on wherever, and can we make this work? So you have to think about who it is you're serving, and then also pricing. People, I would say the majority of people who put their stuff on Furnish Finder don't know how to price it. And so if you gauge your pricing strategy based on that, it's going to be completely off. They're just pulling numbers out of the sky. Other things you're looking at too is what's the quality of the listing they have up there? Did they take professional photos? Is it professionally decorated, or at least looks professionally decorated? Do they allow pets? There are a whole bunch of different criteria that you have to compare. So you can't just look at them and say, oh, they priced at 24 and so I should do 54. You have to really get into the nitty gritty and think about your audience first.
Absolutely. And to top off on that, Jason, we've talked about this before, where there is plenty of short-term rental data, long-term rental data. There is not a lot of mid-term rental data. So you kind of have to pick and choose from both sides what works for your particular location, the type of property it is, who your target client is, and how it's designed. So you have to think about that. And how Hayya said, a lot of people now, it used to be that for insurance housing, these corporate housing companies were third parties that would reach out to you. Now it's kind of changed. So these insurance clients reach out to you on Airbnb, then go back to their insurance underwriter and see if it works with their current policy. Because if it depends on the policy, right? So like I aim for insurance holders that have up to 70% like-to-like quality and size for their home that was damaged. But some people don't have that. So again, it depends on what you're offering and where it is.
Yeah, I think one of you was talking about, I guess, when you look at your actual policyholder for, say, your house, it'll give, obviously, when they're doing an insurance, they're looking at a like for like, or trying to find a like for like home for the individual who, say, maybe their house burned down. And I think one of you was talking about the actual, if you look at your insurance policy, it may say you're covered up to like $280,000. And then, they're allowed a certain amount per year, the insurance companies are, to give out for housing. And then that's kind of how you divide your monthly rate for what you would be charging for something like that. Could you guys maybe refresh my memory on that a little bit?
Yeah, Anna, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
I would love for you to talk about that one, because for insurance that specific, I haven't gotten that far. So this is new for me. So if you could shed some light, that'd be great.
Yeah, so it's called Coverage D. The Coverage D in your insurance policy. So what I was saying to you, Jason, go look at your own homeowner's insurance policy, the section on Coverage D. And so it's based on what is allowed for ALE is going to be based on the dwelling unit value. And so that's different from the assessed value in the county property records. It's different from the market value, like ARV, if we're thinking investing terms. It's in the policy. And so it's going to be for that kind of house, and you're not going to know it for every insurance client that you've got coming through your doors. But if you can, I think also the key when you're talking to relocation specialists is to find out details as surreptitiously as possible. Hey, what happened? Oh, was it a 4-bedroom house? You kind of have to figure out somehow what they're coming from. And if they're in the area that you're familiar with what dwelling values are, you know what your policy is, you can kind of estimate from there. Then you go the dwelling unit value, and it's typically 20 to 30% that the insurance company will take. So we go with the middle, 25%. So 25%, let's say it's $200,000, just for a round number. 25% of that, and my brain is not working right now, is that 50,000? 50,000 divided by 12. That'll tell you the max you can charge per month, per claim, per year. And so, but that might not seem like a lot of money, $50,000 over 12 months, but if someone is staying there, they've had water damage. My parents had their house flood in January, so they had to stay in a hotel for 3 months because there was no good place that I wanted to put them in, there. So they stayed in a hotel for 3 months. So instead of it being now 12 months you're dividing by, it's now 3 months. 50,000 divided by 3. So that's where those higher amounts come in. And sure, they may need to extend. You don't want to come in at the top of the budget with that 50,000 divided by 3. You want to leave some room in there. But you now can see where, oh, instead of, where's my calculator? 50,000 divided by 3, that now ends up being about $16,700 a month. Up to that is what you can charge.
Wow.
So that's why.
So sorry, is the insurance company reaching out to you first and then saying, "Hey, I only need 3 months"? I mean, how are you advertising your price on whatever it is, and then, like, say you've got it advertised at $5,000, and then they come back and say, "Hey, we only need it for 3 months," and then you can increase your price at that point in time, or is it kind of like?
So
how are you determining that?
Yeah, so I learned this strategy first from Jay Massey when we were doing STRs. So it's called MAP. We call it MAP, minimum advertised pricing. And a lot of places, a lot of retailers do this. It's the price you see without all the other fees and taxes added in. And that's what you do. That's what you're listing on these insurance portals. So ALE, what is the other one? I forgot. I'm not remembering anything today. But, the other portals, you're putting in your base price basically. And so when they come to you with an opportunity, they're reaching out to you. So first thing they do will be to look in their portal. If they don't find something suitable there, then they're going to start looking at external sources. This is why tools like Furnish Finder, Airbnb are resources, but you're not really likely to find them there primarily or first. And so they're going to be reaching out to you based on how you're showing up in their portal. So of course you've got to make sure all of your data is accurate and up to date, especially your availability. They're going to reach out to you. So we had an insurance company reach out to us last month, and I think ours says $5,000 in their portal. But what we ended up quoting them and they agreed to was $7,150. This is for a 1-bedroom. So, you can add other fees on top of that, like cleaning, because you want to be able to go into your unit every couple of weeks if they're staying, a month or more. You don't want to get a nasty surprise 3 months down the road, right? So you want to be getting in there. You add those fees in there. If there are other things you need to work in, you put that in. So we came up to $7,150, even though on their portal we were listed at $5,000. It's just the base price. And they agreed. So it's the relocation specialist is going to be the person reaching out, and then they have to now take that to the insurance adjuster, who's going to approve it, and then get back to the relocation specialist to let you know, hey, it's been approved. And then they can go from there with getting the person into the actual property, filling out all the paperwork, getting them in.
Right.
Cool. And then, so it sounds like insurance probably brings the most amount of money. Would you say that's true, or?
In my experience.
Yeah, it depends, but yes, most likely because you have more of a range to like Hayya said, of what you can get. And I'd rather I actually have had more Airbnb success for midterm rentals than I have had for insurance. And I think it just depends on the location as well. So that you just shared a whole bunch of information with me that I didn't quite know. So thank you.
Happy to.
And so for Airbnb, are you doing your typical normal nightly rates, and then you offer a longer term stay, like a monthly rate or a tri-monthly rate? And how much of a discount would you be giving on something like that? Like, say it's a $300 a night property, $3,600 a month. Are you giving a discount for longer term rental, or are you pretty much keeping it about the same? Or
so I do give a discount for longer term rental. One particular rental that I have it's a 30-day minimum anyway. So I do give them for that. They're kind of signing up for that initially. If it's anything longer, it's 10 to 15%, depending on the pricing tools that I'm using and the time of year. Because in the summertime in Illinois, where it is, it's a very, very popular area all the time. But in the wintertime, not as much. So I'll give more of a discount so that it's full. I'd rather it be full than not be.
Yeah, and if you figure
the bane of our existence.
Yeah, I mean, you figure average Airbnb is probably about 60% occupied, except for peak seasons throughout the months. So, the one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Lawrence on here too is he said he didn't really know too much about MTRs, but he's actually probably in a really great area for it. In Florence, South Carolina, they have McLeod Medical there, and they're pretty big in the southeast, or especially over South Carolina area. So there's a lot of nurses coming and going there. Typically, your nurses, are you seeing more? They want their own space, or are they doing like almost like a pad split type room, or they book a room, or what kind of feedback can you get on that?
Yeah, so the nurses that I've seen usually max want 2 bedrooms, but they actually want their own space. And a lot of them that I've seen travel with pets, either a cat or a small dog. So, I don't currently have any 1 to 2 bedroom single family homes, but that's what they're looking for. And it has to be with a certain range of the hospital. But they want it just like everybody else. They actually get a really nice stipend for those, for their dwellings while they move around. So they're looking for something just as homey as those other folks.
And are you still doing arbitrage, Anna? Or are you primarily looking to purchase now?
I'm just looking to purchase. At this point with arbitrage, it sounds terrible, but no landlord's going to be as good as me, and I'm sure everybody says that. But there's a lot of issues where, especially with insurance housing or people that are relocating, it's already stressful enough. If something goes wrong, I don't want to have to wait on a landlord to assign, especially if it's home related. If I can take care of it, I can. But if it's something larger, and sometimes it has been, especially in Florida, it's with hurricanes and things like that. I don't want to wait on a landlord to take care of that. You know what I mean? And if I do pay for it, then I don't want to have to beg them for anything back to make up for what I did spend time on. So that's what I've seen. I prefer to purchase at this point.
And are you doing both, Hayya? Or are you doing
so we did rental arbitrage for the longest time, and we're actually getting out of most of those now and want to purchase just because from the control perspective. Not that I'm a control freak or anything, but it's very disconcerting when you've put a lot of work and investment of time and money into setting up a unit, and then either the laws change in the area for STRs as they have in DC, or the landlord decides I want to do something different, then your investment is gone. Because, I just don't like that uncertainty, and I like to have the control of how we run the business. And so we're moving towards more owning them, acquiring properties creatively, and using them for our MTRs.
It seems like most of the MTRs, pets seem to be a big issue or a big thing. So with, doing the arbitrage, or either, in my situation where we have short-term rentals that we manage for other owners and we're trying to convert them to MTRs, not allowing pets is probably a big factor as well that may be holding us back in some aspects. So yeah, I can see how control, especially for maintenance and things like that, would definitely be very important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was gonna say, wasn't there like a huge area? I want to say like Canada. Didn't they just like ban MTRs or STRs recently?
It's happening everywhere. I mean, it's just like sweeping, and it seems like it's at the whim of the local council. Whoever's running, whoever has a bone to pick, that's how the law changes. And it's just really not a great way to be doing business when you have that much uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can agree.
I think it was New York actually that banned short-term rentals or Airbnb within city limits.
Yeah, New York did, but then also Canada did recently because they're in the midst of an affordable housing crisis.
Right.
I think I just saw that last night, and I was just like, here's the domino effect. Like, one jurisdiction, then another, then another. Pretty soon it's going to be like widespread, at least.
Well, I think that's going on everywhere. I mean, being in property management, I see so many owners, even our annual owners currently right now, rents have been going up, and now all of a sudden it's like there's nobody to rent these places anymore, and they're like, oh, well, I think I can get $4,000 a month, and I'm like, okay, well, the market's showing $3,000 a month, and they're like, oh no, I think I can get it. Rents are going to keep going up, and it's kind of hard to communicate and get these people to understand that it goes up to a certain extent, but then there's nobody that can afford it anymore. And I think that's what you're starting to see why the pad splits are coming in and being so popular right now, especially in, blue collar areas or where you have workforce housing. You know, a one bedroom apartment in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, on the low end is like $1,200 a month, up to $1,800 a month here. Some places $2,000 a month. And by the time you put your deposit down, put your money out, and then pay your utilities and all that, most people can't afford to pay that or can afford that are working in a kitchen cooking or a server in a restaurant. But yeah, I know you have to balance, Hayya. I appreciate so much for you coming on and sharing your knowledge and wealth with us. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's been very fun having you on here as always.
Yeah, and I wish I could stay longer. I'm enjoying hearing from everybody else too. So it's crunch time. But thank you for having me on here, Jason. It's been awesome, and I definitely want to connect with you.
Would love to. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, I will put my number in here.
All right. Before you go, how can people get a hold of you that may be listening?
So my Instagram handle is here. So I'm just like, I'm a newbie with Instagram, but you can find me there. I will see your messages and I will respond. If you also want to reach out to me on Facebook, you can do that. And I have a YouTube channel that's just getting started. So you can look me up on YouTube as well with my name, Hayya Lee McDonald. And tell me what content you guys want to see, because I'm happy to put it out there for you guys to help you.
Before you go, is your channel primarily going to be around MTRs, or are you kind of doing a variety of stuff?
It's a variety. So I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years, and so it's a mix of entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and the life that happens in between, because there's a lot of life that happens in between that. So yeah, we cover a range of topics that relate back to those things.
And is your channel just your name, or?
Yep, Hayya Lee McDonald.
So everybody join, subscribe.
Yeah, thank you. Subscribe.
Awesome, all right. Guys. Well, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you guys.
See you guys. See you later.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yeah. So, I thought that would be cool to get a couple of people on here, and especially people in the same industry or same, I guess, niche, you should say, and be able to share some information, help learn from each other. So anything else, I guess, that you guys feel like chit-chatting about? Real estate, MTR, whatever?
I guess kind of staying in the vein of MTR, like, what other platforms do you advertise, and what other ways do you advertise to kind of get clientele specifically for traveling nurses?
Specifically for traveling nurses. Okay. So if you're aiming for traveling nurses, and you said, so talk to me about the St. Cloud area before I go into that. Give me a quick overview of what's happening there, and I can sort of direct you in the right place, I think.
Okay. So right here in Florence, we actually have two different hospital systems. We have McLeod, and then we have MUSC, which is actually a medical university.
Okay.
So there's a lot of students that are traveling in, doing internships, residencies, and things of that nature here. And each hospital system has their own initiative. So MUSC is pushing more traveling nurses, whereas McLeod has more vocational medical staff coming in.
Okay.
And that's something new that I learned. I actually learned that from Meryl, who's also in the sub too. She told me that they have different vocations that are coming in, so they're going to be training them. So there'll be more of the vocational hospital.
Okay.
But there's definitely a need, but from what I see here, the model is a little backwards in terms of how the investors handle it. So they'll go get a property, renovate the property, rent it out, put it out on Furnish Finder, and then they try and sell it as a fully rented MTR. But they're charging like max rent that they can get.
Yeah, with travel nurses, you can't do that. They have a certain amount of money that they can spend, on a monthly basis. And so if you're just aiming for travel nurses, there are plenty of Facebook groups that you should reach out to, that you should inundate yourself in. And the same way that we do it in sub 2, really get yourself involved here saying, I'm offering this, or would someone like to come take a look and give me some feedback? because people want when you ask for their advice. And so when you bring someone in, they can refer you to this person or to that person. What's also awesome is there's a lot of travel nurse staffing companies, a lot of them, that are trying to place nurses. So I would build relationships with those type of companies that say, hey, I know that you're staffing for travel nurses with this particular university. I've got locations here, here, and here for any students or nurses that you plan to place.
Okay.
And it's sort of a multi-step sort of thing. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah.
Do you think the nursing students are going to have a budget as well, or are they kind of, is it part of, like, when they come into MUSC, how is that working versus, being an RN or something like that, a surgical nurse coming into McLeod? Is there a difference in budget there, or how it's being funded?
I'm not sure, and that's something I'll definitely have to dig into. I'm not sure, what type of financing they're utilizing, if there's a stipend or, what they have. Just from my understanding, I think the vocational staff, they may be salaried employees, and they actually, they do pretty well in certain locations, like speech therapists and, those different technical therapists.
So I would, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but I did get a chance to speak to a lot of the nurses that are traveling in. And the one thing that they told me is that some of these agencies drop the ball big time. So they'll go to these agencies, and the agencies are supposedly, have all these resources, and they just kind of, like, after the initial phone call, they disappear. So they get ghosted, and then they're left to their own devices to kind of figure out how to navigate. But I found out that the biggest advocates are other nurses that are previously there. And a lot of them will come into the area like a week or two before they're supposed to be here to actually go shopping, maybe stay at this Airbnb, stay at that Airbnb, and just try to get acclimated and really figure out where they want to stay and where they want to be for like the next month or 6 months or whatever they're going to be here.
So other nurses coming into the area or communicating with nurses in the area, or ones that have already been in the area, is what you're saying?
Yes, and sometimes they travel and they have like a little travel pack, so they may travel with another nurse that they know they're going to the same hospital, and then they'll go and find an apartment together or find a place together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I could speak to the travel students and what they have in terms of budget, because I work in wealth management by day, so I work with 529 accounts. Oh, nice. If these travel students are undergraduate or graduate students, if they do have a 529 and financial aid, they do have a specific amount of money that they can use based on what they have to pay for that on the back end. Okay. So that's in terms of budget there. But I was going to say, do you know what each of these university specialties are? Do they focus on ALS or something else, some other sort of illnesses or diseases?
I think for MUSC, they definitely have a good cardiac department. Okay. So cardiology department, but I don't know what their specialty is per se.
Okay. So what I would do is I would look and see what those specialties are, because there's also other groups that are there to assist people with certain illnesses and diseases. Gotcha. So maybe you can get in with those people as well, whether they're companies or non-for-profit organizations, that you can say, hey, my name's Lawrence. I have these opportunities for families that are traveling for medical needs as well. And that's kind of the big thing. There's both the medical professionals and the people traveling for medical needs.
Yeah, you triggered a thought, because I know in terms of McLeod, there's a whole section of town that's dedicated to families that are coming in for patients that are getting dental work. So there's actually like a hotel or two, and that's their base clientele.
Oh, that's so cool.
They sign out front like, hey, if you're getting dental work, come stay with us. And it just, once you said that, it triggered that thought, because I remember riding past like, that's different. But I like it because it caters to their need, and they're right there, right around the corner from McLeod.
Wow. So maybe you can speak to them. I think of it as like the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. How many people travel there and have to stay there temporarily for longer term, all these things. And if you become sort of the mascot of that community, the traveling people, either for the medical professionals or medical families, then you can really be successful in all that, because you're the one that people think of when they're like, oh, I need help. Oh, Lawrence can help me,
Yeah, Nice, nice. I will definitely keep that in mind. I love that. I love that tip.
So you think building, I guess, rapport within the Facebook communities for traveling nurses is one of the key factors as well, even more than using the actual booking channels such as Furnish Finder or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because,
And
anyone can put it up on multiple sites. I've got 30 sites I can put something on, and it depends on the state too. Certain states have their own corporate housing, websites and things like that. But the relationships you build, people will never remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. So the relationships you build are always going to stick around. Even in the arbitrages that I had here in Florida that I got rid of, I built a great relationship with a sports agent, and she brought some Tampa Bay Rays over to my house, and they played baseball with the boys next door. That's a memory these boys are never going to forget. And I facilitated that with this agent. So it's the same sort of thing that you can do for the people that you bring to your house. It's a hospitality business, midterm rentals. So like Hayya said, you have to be very strategic and you have to give back.
That's awesome. It's a great way to think about it, right? Because you really are creating an experience, right?
Yeah.
You're providing hospitality. You're making them have a home away from home.
Mm-hmm.
They're already very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
We all know what it's like to travel and live out of a suitcase for a little while. But just imagine if you didn't really have to, and you could actually unpack and unwind a little bit more than actually being in a hotel room or something like that.
Right. I like to call it creating sanctuary. You know what I mean? And you can use that if you like.
I like it.
Because like you said, people have to leave. Everyone likes their own things. Everyone likes, I'm currently in my in-laws space. And this is all my mother-in-law's doing, her art, her colors, her this. But because she spent so much tender loving care on what she put up on the walls, it's pleasant for me to stay here. Whereas if you're in a hotel, they've got their art up there, but it's bland. You need to approach it as if you. And this is the same way I buy too. There's a lot of people that buy and just see something. If I don't want to live there, I'm not buying it. So you need to approach each space do I want to live here? And if it's a yes, then you're good to go.
Awesome. This is great insight.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. How long do you think it really took you, once you made the switch to MTR, how long do you think it really took you to get, I guess, grounded there and start seeing regular business coming in? Because I guess that's kind of where I'm at this phase currently.
Yeah.
Trying to gain some traction.
Yeah. I would say 9 months. Like we said, it's such a test. It's such an experiment, unfortunately, with MTR. And you have to do your own due diligence on everything. Like Hayya said, here, I'm currently in the Lakeland area. Publix has their headquarters here. So if I wanted to open one here in Lakeland, I would like to see what the other corporations are, who their traveling professionals are. I'd probably call their HR department. You know what I mean? You have to do a lot of your own work. It's not just going to come to your plate like a short-term rental would be if you just put it on Airbnb. It's a lot of your own work. And I think it's the same sort of thing with short-term rentals now, especially now since they're putting out all these regulations. You have to think of something one of a kind. And you have to do your research that reflects that area. So, for example, my husband wants to be a pilot, and I saw a video the other day of a guy who turned a plane into a short-term rental. You know what I mean? I don't know where it is, but if my husband decides to be a pilot, then I would decide to take a plane and turn it into that. But it has to be it would have to be by an airport where they could have access to taking rides, or those Red Bull planes that go up. So if I were to do something like that, I would make sure that I have a relationship with those Red Bull planes so they can take those rides. They're very expensive. You know what I mean? Or what's a bucket list item that you want to do in your life? Just pick one.
Me? Santorini.
Santorini. Okay. So you want to go to Santorini, then that property there in Santorini, if you do choose it, has to be exactly reflective of Santorini and has to provide a one of a kind experience that you only get in Santorini. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You cannot get it anywhere else. And it's sort of the same thing with midterm rental. Everything that you get there You can't get it anywhere else. It has to be the best case scenario for everything. And that's super high standards, but it's kind of how it goes.
But I think that's what sets you apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So did you ever do short-term rentals, Anna?
No, I'd love to. I'd love to.
A lot more work.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready for it. Put me up there.
Customer service work is a lot more demanding on STRs.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
weird. Like we can get 5-star, 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 and then all of a sudden you just get one person that's having a crappy day, and like they complain about every little thing. And you're like, but yeah, all right.
Did Airbnb change the
Cool.
rules though that you can go ahead and put that one away? What's the most recent change that they did with the reviews? Right?
I don't know. I feel like there's been a transition that's happened over the past 6 months where the clientele, like, it kind of went downhill for a while, and now I'm starting, as the season's ending, we're starting to see like better people, I guess, or happier people coming through. It seemed like for a minute everybody was trying to work a free stay somehow. You know, they get here and it's about every little thing they complain about, or you know, they don't complain, and then all of a sudden they check out and they leave like this horrible review, and they ask for a refund. And you know, I felt like there was a period of time we were constantly trying to battle with Airbnb and, you know, trying to defend ourselves and say, you know, this property or this review doesn't count. Like, the guys would complain, like in large golf communities with timeshares and stuff, that, hey, the community had potholes when you're driving into it. And I'm like, you know, how am I supposed to take care of that or handle that as a host on my own? Like, now all of a sudden you want me to do road work for the community? It's like,
right. And
you have to like, but Airbnb has these algorithms that, you know, they run, and they've got their corporate structure that they kind of go through the motions on everything. It's like all of a sudden you're having to defend yourself and explain why this review is not accurate based on this. And I'm starting to see it's transitioning away from that, but I think it has to do with seasonality and, you know, the influx of people coming in and coming out. I don't know. We'll see where it heads. I like the idea of midterm rentals just because there's not so much turnover. When you're, you know, during season, when you're turning every 3 to 4 days, or, you know, a week, or sometimes on a nightly basis, it leaves a lot more room for error with like housekeeping or, you know, miscellaneous stuff with, you know, little things being broken or not being broken, the repair issues. So I think just being able to not have to, I guess, micromanage that stuff so much with the MTRs. And it seems like the profit margin is about the same, if not better, for some aspects of it. I think that's why I'm leaning towards it more. But I'm noticing you're right. It's not just like an Airbnb where you know, set it up, flip a switch, and people all of a sudden come. Like, it seems like you almost have to go kind of hunting for your clientele a little bit more, and you know, building rapport with different people and networking. And I guess I'm just trying to, you know, get that going and figure out time management regarding that, and starting to build those networks.
Absolutely. And I have found that it's harder in certain seasonal areas, but you can absolutely, if you put your mind to it, you can absolutely make this work.
Yeah. And you know, just having this conversation with you guys today, I'm kind of realizing, out of the MTRs, like trying to focus down onto which niche within the MTR is better, or which clients would be better for it. Obviously, we have a hospital right down the street from the place that I'm working on now, but it may not be great for nurses because it's probably, I'm kind of asked for a higher, you know, fee for it. So it may be doctors, but how many doctors are coming to the area for long periods of time, or not coming for long periods of time, transitioning in and out of this particular property? We don't have a university like Lawrence does there, MUSC. So,
don't you guys have that data center that's moving in?
Yeah, it's built. It's not finished yet. I think they're having it open before the end of the year. So we'll see what transpires out of that. I haven't heard, there's not going to be that many people working in the actual data center. It's not bringing a lot of jobs for that particular building, but they keep talking about a tech spinoff for all these tech industries are wanting to be near that hub. And so you're probably going to start to see people influx in. I don't know what's going to happen or not going to happen. A lot of multifamily properties have gone up in this area over the past year and a half, and a lot of them are sitting empty right now, or they're not fully occupied. So I don't know if a lot of developers are getting ready to get caught with their pants down or what, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. It could be what it kind of sends the rent market farther south, like what we were talking about, because they try to fill these places up. I think also with the interest rates jumping up, it's probably created a stall because we have a lot of retirees here. And so people that were retiring and moving down this way, they're probably not selling their houses fast up north right now with the interest rates going up. So that may, there's a lot of different market conditions. You never know which way it's going to go. But I do try to follow emerging markets when I am, looking for real estate or buying real estate. So typically I try to look for areas where there is industry, like what you're saying, Lawrence, coming to the area. And usually I like to see at least 500 jobs coming to an area, because at least if there's 500 jobs, it's going to create a spinoff in the area for the next 5 to 7 years. So, once we start getting some announcements of people actually coming here, then I think it'll, start to kick again. But, they're still building houses left and right. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that are moving down here that are selling their homes up north. And, New York, they sell their $1 million, $2 million home up there, and they move down here, pay $500,000 cash for a home the same size, and then they buy 2 or 3 other properties and live off the rental income. So you never know. Interesting times, interesting area.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Myrtle Beach, gotta love it.
Well, I thank you guys for coming out. We're probably getting up to the hour here. Did you guys have anything else before we jump off?
No, I don't think so. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. You've
Thanks
been very
for your
insightful.
wealth of information there. Yeah.
Happy to
Hopefully
share.
we all learned something new today.
Yes, absolutely.
I definitely did. I know there's a few places that I need to go and see after this call is over.
We get homework. That's good news.
Yeah. So I'll definitely
right.
reach out to you and let you know what happens and what I find out.
Happy to. You can find me on Facebook.
And before we roll, do you have any handles or anything you want to give out for Facebook or Instagram or any of that, so people know where to find you?
I've got Anna Benner as my Facebook. And then on Instagram, I'm Anna Benner _13. I would love to have a YouTube channel, but similar to Hayya, I'm very multifaceted, so it'd probably be like all my favorite things in one. I don't know if I could just focus on midterm rentals. So when I get there, I'll let everybody know.
Okay. All right, cool.
For me, I'm
Lawrence,
at the Lawrence McKay. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and then I'm looking to get my YouTube and my podcast up and running this weekend, actually. So it'll be the same handle at the Lawrence McKay. Yeah, I don't know how I managed to get my name the same across every platform, but I'm like, woohoo!
You're good, man.
Yeah,
that's good. You're the original, man.
You want to know me? No, I can't. Wish I was.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming, guys. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend. Bye.
You too.